What is going on, everybody? In this video, we are giving you a state of the market and stock picks for February 23rd, 2022. Now, if it sounds like you want to be updated every day, every week to get you prepared for the next day, the next week ahead, consider subscribing because this market is quite chaotic. Now, being said, the state of the market, we all know that Russia and Ukraine have been headlining all the news out lately. Biden even came on the horn today and essentially said that he will be imposing sanctions on Russia, but nothing too heavy as of yet. He is trying to essentially grease the skids to get conversation rolling with essentially Russia again. So we're going to have to see. This is something that is sensitive because of the fact that the market is being driven by every news catalyst. The Russia has been putting out information left and right that is very mixed signals. We don't really know what's going on over there. We're going off of essentially he said, she said kind of ordeal over there. So ultimately, it's obviously a concern for the U.S. because they are starting to take some sort of action, essentially a warning shot to Russia. But we have to see ultimately what's going to happen, how this is going to play out. This week is going to be critical. Obviously, we are trying to wait for the FOMC meeting on the 16th, but we have to understand that we have to get through this this game essentially that's being played right now. Are we going to actually go to war? I don't think either country wants to go to war, or all three countries want to go to war. But this is just a political game at this point until actual further action is taken. So we're kind of just sitting and waiting, and we're getting pops. The good thing is the volatility is providing a little bit more range than normal because we were playing such a tight range, essentially worrying about rate raises and all that previously before. And even to touch on that, they came back out today and said that they're not going to put a bunch of rate raises in there, that they're not going to. They started becoming more dovish again with the Fed. So again, things are flip-flopping each and every day. And so it is a headache to try to understand what is going on with the markets currently right now, fundamental-wise, because nobody knows. Only Putin knows essentially what he's going to do. Only Powell knows what he's going to do with the rates. So the market is caught in between all this ultimately to determine where we go. But it could be cleared up very quickly as far as the Putin-Ukraine thing. If ultimately, Putin decides to start open discussion with Biden, then that could change things very quickly. The market could get a very nice pop out of that leading into the FOMC meeting. And then ultimately, again, that's still up in the air. We have to actually get solid numbers, solid time frame for the market to really understand which direction we're going. Do we need to correct even more? Or do we need to carry on? Or what has already been corrected in, is that enough to cover the 50 basis points? Are we going 100 basis points? What is the deal there? So even though there's a lot going on, ultimately understand if we look at the daily on the SPX, now this is something I've been talking about, is holding this level here. It's 42.81 mark essentially. We bounced in there today, and we essentially checked it. We had a wick out of there this morning, right on pre-market, and then we revisited it again today. We are still under the trend. My thing is I think we're going to get a pop. Now the market wanted to run towards the end of the day, and then it actually sold off in power hour. So there was a lot of confusion on as soon as Biden came out and said that, hey, we're imposing sanctions. The market was starting to push because of that. But it wasn't anything too overly dramatic. I think that's the way they took it, was, hey, we see what's going on. We're not actually trying to start a war, but, market kind of took it as a good sign. We have to really see how the market overnight digests this, and if Russia comes out and says anything. So really, it is still a 50-50 shot, but technical wise, we are holding that level. Now, if we break this level, we're going to be in a world of hurt after that point. But we have to have enough fuel, I think, to break down further than that, because I think at that point, you're obviously going to you start looking at the key levels, your 4,200, the 4,100. Essentially, that 4,100 mark is where the 20 EMA on the monthly is. Now, if we do hit that, there would be a big bounce off of that coming off the monthly. So that is something to keep in mind. Will we see that? I don't know. We got to break these levels first to see how far we can get down. Again, right now, it's a solid level, so we're going to really need some gas to be able to break this. And then again, we have the 4170 mark, 70, the 4072 mark, and then we have essentially that the 4000 K mark for some support. So it'd be really interesting again to see what happens. We don't have the catalyst isn't enough to break us through unless we actually go to war. I think that's the only way we're going to break down further from this point, or we get something about rate raises. We actually hear something about rate raises. I think will be a big enough catalyst to break it past this. You never know what can happen overnight, especially when there's talks and whispers of war. Could do a lot. It could gap up, it could gap down. It could all change any moment. So we're kind of waiting on that to see, especially with oil prices and everything that's going on. That's ultimately what the big ordeal is this fight essentially for over oil. So I have to see what we open up tomorrow. Again, we want to break the wedge even on the weekly. I got some good key levels to watch, but going into tomorrow, again, it all depends where we land. Do we actually break above this? We don't really have a true catalyst to push us up. And that's the biggest thing is there hasn't been any positive news. So if we get positive news that we are in discussions with Russia, I think that would be enough to pop us back over some of these key levels. Again, we want to get back over that 4,400 mark. Would be great on SPX. But we have to see. Again, it's all still a shot in the dark. Bitcoin in itself is still looking good. It's still a higher low. We just need to keep above essentially that 32K mark. I think we would be good and to continue up even higher. Again, there's just almost a perfect storm going on with Russia and then rates, again, both flopping back and forth. So you don't get any clear answer. The market wants clear answers. If they don't have a clear answer, we're going to chop and pump and get volatility till it does get those answers. So again, like I've always said, I think the biggest ones to watch, Tesla's coming into a wedge, and something you really want to watch, because if it breaks out of this wedge, it could go for a big rip. As you can see, even on the hourly, we have this nice wedge here. It looks like it's wanting to start to pop, but we're under the 50, so it looks like it could be a retest of the 50 EMA. But something definitely to watch tomorrow. If we do end up around that 840 mark tomorrow, I'll possibly look for a retest and a test to this higher trend line up here. Again, a lot of this stuff is going to be extremely choppy just because of the current environment that we're in. Google didn't hold very well this afternoon, but actually popped back up. So we're back above the 50. Again, you want to look at the companies that have done really well during earnings, and then go from that point, especially on the recovery. And then once those start to lag and start to lose steam, then you pick up some of the other good companies that are mid-tier kind of companies, mid-cap, small-cap kind of companies for recovery there as well. But Google, it's a lot of these look really bad on the daily. Again, a lot of them are right under that 200. Normally, again, under that 200 EMA on the daily is typically a good reversal. And we're seeing a lot of that around this point. And I'm starting to think we are coming close to a bottom. Again, it's not saying we can't sell off more, but the fact that we are bouncing. The bounces have a lot of strength in them. Leads me to believe that we are close to a bottom. It's just trying to get answers from the Russia-Ukraine situation and from the Fed as well. So watching this one as well, a lot of these are wedging down. So everything is starting to look the same, especially in tech. Some value has been doing all right. Chips have actually been doing very well. AMD had a great day today. Another big one to watch tomorrow, AMD. Looks like we had a break and a retest tomorrow. So if it does hold above this 116 mark tomorrow, that could be good for another little breakout to the upside. Again, you have a lot of resistance now, so your moves up are going to be very choppy. I know one of the big ones I want to watch, especially in chips, is ASML. Looking to see if it comes back down to this 620 mark and holds that level. If it does tomorrow, possibly break out of this wedge here and start running a lot. Again, there's a lot of these little wedge breaks, just like I showed you on Tesla. LRCX, again, same thing. You're getting another wedge here. So I think tomorrow we could be looking at a short squeeze and pop, get a pretty good, nice little pop tomorrow. I think chips showed a lot of strength today, so I think chips might be my primary focus tomorrow. But then you got ones like Amazon. Amazon's been holding. Same thing here. You can see this on almost every tech chart here. Things are starting to wedge very nicely. It looks like a possible breakout. Again, I think we're due for a little bit of a rally. It really just depends on if Russia starts getting aggressive with things. If they do, it could be an issue. But I think we're coming real close to a bottom, in my opinion. Unless, again, Fed come in and start becoming very hawkish. But what I'm talking more about from the period from now until that Fed meeting, I think the only thing that's in our way is this Russia-Ukraine thing. If any kind of positive news comes of this, the market, I think, is going to rally possibly for a couple days, is what's going to happen. That is my thesis anyway, coming into tomorrow. DWAC is an interesting one to watch tomorrow as well. They just had, they officially launched yesterday. It did pop up to 137. It's not saying it's going to hit that again, but it'd be interesting to watch if it holds this key level. Again, a lot of your daily supports is further down. I'd even retagged it here today at the 86 mark. We want to see if it comes back down and holds that tomorrow. If it holds the 86 mark, you could look for a nice little pop again. Again, you do have this trend line on DWAC as well. So as long as it holds the trend, it should be okay. This is the only thing that's really been holding. I definitely don't want to break back below this trend line. You get one retest and then sell off from that point. Now this could be the sell the news events after it's gone live. I might actually start selling off a little bit. So everything leading up to this point is kind of led it to where it is now. So I wouldn't actually be surprised if this does sell. So you definitely want to watch those key levels. The 86, you don't want to drop back below that. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But that's pretty much what I got. I know this video is pretty long. I feel like I kind of rambled, so I apologize for that. Again, there's a lot of what ifs at this point, so you have to be mindful of that. Just be careful, be mindful, be nimble. Don't play too heavy. Take profits when you have them, because we don't know when it's going to reverse. If we see a true reversal, I don't think it's going to be till after we get actual numbers from the Fed. I believe we'll have short-term rallies, one side or the other, till we do get that. So just be mindful of that. But I think in this temporary situation that we have here, I think we are close to pivoting for a small rally. And again, just seeing that in the candlesticks in the price action, it looks like we are going to get ready for a little bit of a run here. But again, we have a lot of resistance, so we do have to be careful of that. Again, sellers could be moving in or waiting at any one of these levels. And as soon as it hits that, it could sell off pretty heavily. So, but again, we'll have to see. This is where we have daily reviews and morning calls. So until next time, guys, I'll see you guys later.